This video is part 2 for August 23rd, August 24th. We're looking at trig functions of all six trig functions of any angle. Woo! Alright, so on the video part 1, hopefully you did that. We did these first two problems. I'm going to flip to the back. We're going to go over probably 2 of these. And then if you have questions, you can email me. So here we're actually given 2 conditions. We're given these 2 things. That sine is 3/5. In other words, sine is positive. And theta lies in quadrant 2. We want to calculate the other 5 trigonometric functions. Well, I'm going to go ahead and draw a coordinate plane, a rough sketch of one. And we're given that sine is positive. It's positive 3/5. Well, we know that sine is y on our unit circle. So what that means is, if we're looking at y as positive, y is going to be positive in quadrants 1 and 2. So it could be here and it could be here, just based off of this information. Y is negative here, so it cannot be there. Y is negative here, so we cannot be there either. And it tells us that theta lies in quadrant 2. So we know for sure it's going to be here, so it won't be there, it's going to be here. Now that we know what quadrant is, I'm just going to draw a point. Let me erase this check mark. And we're going to create a triangle, similar to what we did on the previous problem. So there's my hypotenuse. I'm going to draw a dotted line down. Theta is the angle closest to the angle, or origin. And now what we did in class is we said that we can use this information here to figure out all sides of the triangle. And so what we said is sine, we know that sine is SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, which means this is our opposite. That's our hypotenuse. Or in other words, our dotted line is our opposite. Our hypotenuse is here. So because our angle is here, opposite over hypotenuse. And then we could say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now here's the only thing about these types of problems is you need to be careful here because we're actually given c. And this is the first time we have a problem like that. Other problems we have not been given c, we've been needed to solve for c. So here let's call a 3 plus b squared equals 5 squared, because 5 is our hypotenuse. And now we have 9 plus b squared equals 25. Now we're solving for b, so we have to subtract 9, take the square root, and we get 4. And actually our solution is plus or minus 4, because whenever we take the square root of both sides, we have to take plus or minus. The reason is that we have positive 4 squared would be positive 16, so would negative 4. Negative 4 squared would give us positive 16 as well. So we kind of have to think about this. What we solve for is this side b, but we have positive or negative. And what we talked about in class is because we're going from the origin to the left, hopefully you're saying, oh, well that means b is negative. If we move to the left along the x-axis, that means that it's negative. And so from here we can say, we're already given sine. It's 3/5. We can say cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over our hypotenuse, or negative 4/5. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, or 3 over negative 4. And then we can find the other 3. Cosecant we know is related to sine, we take the reciprocal. Secant is related to cosine, we take the reciprocal. And cotangent is related to tangent, we take the reciprocal. Okay. So the key part is using this key information to figure out what quadrant we're in. Once we figure out what quadrant we're in, we can figure out, hey, we can draw a triangle. So we can draw a triangle to simulate the angle, solve for all 3 sides, and then find our trig functions. Next one's a little tricky. I would suggest trying it first and then go over it because I'm going to do it right now. So here, similar thing. I'm going to draw a coordinate plane. Now in class, we notice that here we're given that tangent is negative. And we said that tangent is negative. If you're looking here, we have like positive, positive. Cosine is positive, and sine is positive. Well, positive divided by positive is a positive, so it can't be here. Here we're given cosine is negative, sine is positive. And so since sine is positive divided by a negative, that's a negative. It could be here in quadrant 2. Similar thing here, negative divided by a negative would give us a positive. We want a negative. It can't be there. And then we have a negative, in quadrant 4, cosine is positive because it's positive x and sine is negative, which would be a negative. So we could be here. And the reason we're doing this is because we can find tangent as sine divided by cosine. Now, we have used this information to figure out that we're either going to be in quadrant 2 or 4. Now we use this information to figure out which one it is. And it says that cosine is bigger than 0. Well, if I'm here, I know cosine is x, and all in quadrant 2, cosine is negative. So it can't be here. So erase that check mark. So it has to be here, but let's check. Tangent is going to be negative. Cosine should be positive. Cosine is x, so we're good. Now we do a similar thing. Theta is always closest to the origin, so this is our theta. And in class we talked about there's only one negative here, which means that either the 5 or the 4 is negative, not both. If they're both negative, it'd be positive. And we know that tangent is opposite over adjacent, which means it's opposite is our dotted line, adjacent is our solid line. And now we need to make a decision. Which one is negative? Well, let's think. If we start at the origin and we move to the right 4, that's a positive 4. So that's going to be positive. And then if I go down 5, that's what makes it negative. So it'd be a negative 5. And from here we can solve for C, because this is C, it's our hypotenuse. We're solving for C in this case. So you have 16 plus 25 equals C squared, which means that C is square root of 41. Now from here we can do a similar thing that we did up here to find sine, cosine, tangent. I'm going to leave that for you to do. Just be careful. I'll do sine real quick. Sine of theta would be opposite is negative 5 over square root of 41, because that's our hypotenuse. We always want to rationalize our denominator if need be. So we would have to multiply by square root of 41 over square root of 41. And that's what sine would be. We have to do that for each one if our denominator has a square root, so be careful on those. This is the last problem I'm going to do. If you want to try this one here with cosine, give it a shot. This just tells you what quadrant you're going to be in. If you have questions, feel free to email me, remind that, or go to the website and ask through that.